Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this is John Oates. He's a singer, a songwriter, a memoirist. Of course, you know him as one half of the most successful duo in recorded music history. I'm going to throw out just a few statistics. 16 Billboard Top 10 hits, 8 certified platinum albums, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriter Hall of Fame, BMI Icon Award, just to name a few. He is the author of the memoir, We Had You Here Last Time, Changes Seasons, and he is currently touring with more dates to come in the new year. He is also, of course, a member of the Mustache Hall of Fame and the self-appointed patron saint of facial hair. Now he has a new single, a new message, and even a little different stuff going on with the facial hair. You are this year's international spokesman for the men's health initiative that we know as Movember. Hi, John Oates. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me on again. And that's quite an intro. I don't know how, at this point, I don't think I really have to say anything. I can just, let you take it. But yes, but thank you very much. Yeah.
You just nod while I list all of your achievements, and we can fill a half hour. But I do want to ask you about Movember. This is the 20th this year. Now, lots of people know what this movement is about, but there are some people who don't. So you tell me, what is Movember and what are the issues that it raises awareness of?
Oh, well, it's a men's health initiative, which has been around for quite some time. And I will say not quite as successful as the Women's Health Initiative. We can go into that a little bit later. But it's a fantastic organization. And it's, as I said, international. And it really focuses on many things. Men's health, of course, mental health, things like that. But also physical health, things that a lot of men are concerned with, things like testicular cancer, prostate cancer. And, and really to kind of generalize, it's really, I think it's important to try that they're trying to shine a light on the fact that I think a lot of men don't like to address many of these things, and that it's okay to talk about, and that it's okay to share experiences, and kind of get men to open up a little bit about things that perhaps traditionally have been I guess considered less than manly to really open up and discuss. So I was really happy when they asked me to be part of it. I jokingly said, "What took you so long?" With the mustache connection and all that. But it's been great. It's been great. Great people. They're really, really clever and really, really. They have a lot of energy. I spent some time in London at their main headquarters doing a bunch of really crazy TikTok stuff, which will roll out during the course of November. And so, yes, it's a month-long initiative, and hopefully, we'll see if people can really jump on board.
Yeah, and you as Mr. Mustache, it's just inevitable, I suppose, that at some point, indeed, what did take them so long to make the call? You're Mr. Mustache, you're in the Hall of Fame. But you have also talked about, you've been very candid in your memoir and also in recent years, talking about your own health and your own mental health. I saw an interview with you recently where you were talking about how you several years ago went through therapy, but you had resisted it at first. You said that you kind of poo-pooed it. What do you want to say now, maybe to the men out there who are struggling with some mental health issues, as a lot of guys are, about what you learned from that experience and what you found on the other side of taking care of your mental health?
Yeah, it's true, and I think I've spoken to a lot of guys who have said the same thing. Well, I'm smarter than those shrinks anyway. They can't tell me anything, But it's really about I think getting to a point where your challenges and what's troubling you gets to the point where you really can't fix it yourself, and just to have an objective person who can hear you, empathize, and perhaps shed some light on some strategies perhaps that could help you understand a little bit more about yourself. And sometimes the old, you can't see the forest for the trees. Sometimes you're so wrapped up in your issues that you can't see a way out, and you can't figure out what it is you need to do to try to change things. And of course, the first step is always wanting to change. I think everyone has to get to that point where they feel that they really need to change. It's too much now. This is it. I've come to the end, come to the end of my rope. I'm, run up against the wall, I can't do any more. So, and I think, it takes, everyone has a different threshold for that. So for me, it had to do, in the late 80s, it had to do with this kind of the end of this big, crazy decade of pop stardom that was, really unbelievably intense and, unbelievably successful, obviously, but also what came with it was a complete disassociation from any semblance of real life. You run around the world as a pop star, and things are not. It's hard to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it what that can be like when every whim or need or every situation that you might encounter seems to be serviced in some weird way. I don't like to use that word serviced, but I guess that's not a bad word. But the point being, so I was at that point in my life, but and then simultaneously to that, the manager that Daryl and I had for many, many years went on to greener pastures. I was in the midst of getting separated and then eventually divorced. And it all happened at the same time. And when that happened, I really did reach the end of the rope for me. I had nowhere to turn. And I ended up going to see a therapist who really gave me some interesting strategies and things that I never would have been able to accomplish on my own. So that's why and to be honest with you, I haven't been back since. I feel like I've employed a lot of these things, strategies, and I think I've been on the right path, and that path has really taken me somewhere where I never could have imagined going. I mean, it had to do with visualization, it had to do with dreams, it had to do with really, kind of accepting who I was at that moment and who I wanted to be, or who where I wanted my future to take me, and what kind of man I wanted to be going forward. So it was very enlightening period of time, and it really did to lead to a new approach to my life. So,
And I think what you're talking about is so important because I certainly know a lot of the men in my life have also resisted therapy or just going to the doctor or going to the dentist because there's this fear that then that's who I am. I'm that guy. I'm that guy who needs therapy, or I'm that guy who needs to see a doctor about a pain or an ache, as opposed to looking at it, this is something that I need now in the short term. It doesn't have to be my whole identity, right?
yeah, I mean, you have to, everyone has a different threshold. Everyone has a different, a different ability to cope. And only you can decide when you've reached the that place where you do not have an alternative. There's nowhere to turn, and that's it's subjective and it's different for everyone. For me, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you please.
No, I should shut up. I talk too much.
No, we're here to talk to you. I wanted to ask you about the song Pushin A Rock. I
Yeah.
watched the video for it. Okay, first of all, let me just say that is a sexy, sexy song, John. And the pipes you pull out on that song, I felt like I just wanted to like turn down the lights and get into some sweet, sweet mental health. It's
Okay, wait a minute. Second. You did say that. You said, I want to turn down the lights and get into some sweet mental health. Okay. Now that's scary. That's kind of cool and scary all at the same time.
Well, you just summed me up, John. But this song has had a real journey for you. This has been on a long road. Tell me a little about the evolution of this song and what it means to you right now as part of this.
Yeah, the song is really an evolution and a reimagination of a song that was written in 2014. I was doing an album called Good Road to Follow. The theme of the album was I wanted to collaborate with people that I respected, and I collaborated with Vince Gill and Ryan Tedder from One Republic and many other people, some young artists, some more Americana rootsy type artists. And so one of the people I reached out to was a guy named Nathan Paul Chapman, who was really part of the Taylor Swift career from her earliest days of making demos as a young teenager. And he took her through her first few albums, won multiple Grammys, and was really a big part of kind of creating, Taylor in her early incarnations. But at the moment, when I was about to reach out to him, it had to do with the fact that I had read that she had gone on to try some other producers, and her music was changing, which is of course the right of every artist to explore and try things. So I thought maybe, I would just reach out to him, just say, hey, how you doing, man? That kind of thing, as casual as that. And when I did, we talked about it, and he said, yeah, he said, my entire creative identity has been wrapped up with Taylor and her music, and now I don't know exactly what my next step is going to be. And I said, well, it's challenging. It's a challenging moment in your life, but it's also an exciting moment because who knows where it could take you. That got me thinking. And then I began to think about the Greek myth of Sisyphus pushing a rock uphill and overcoming challenges just on broad terms. And I thought, boy, I bet you that's something he might relate to as a jumping off point for a song idea. So I said, let's get together. We got together. I ran the idea by him. He loved it, and we seemed to vibe on that idea. We wrote the song, and it really I recorded it on that album. And to be honest with you, every time I would play it, I'd play it live, and every time I'd play it live, I kept changing it. And because something told me that it just wasn't as good as it could have been. I thought the lyrics were really good and really powerful, and I felt like I let my side down when I did the music because it just didn't connect the same way. So flash forward to COVID, sitting home for periods of time, looking at reviewing old music lyrics, kind of catching up with things that I had put on the by the wayside. And I thought about that song again, and it seemed so timely, and it seemed just as important, and even perhaps more, during COVID. And I revisited it, and I said, well, you know what? I've never been happy with the music on this. Let me see if I can come up with something better. And that's what I did. I started messing around with the track at home, started reimagining the song and using really, really almost all the lyrics from the original version. And then eventually I came up with something I liked. I called Nathan up and I said, man, what do you think of this? I want to do this song over again. And I had never done that in my entire career. I had never re-recorded a song. He said, man, he laughed and he said, this is how it should have sounded from the beginning. And I said, well, I guess it's my fault, but yeah, never too late. So I went in and recorded it, and that's the song that you're hearing now.
And it's so in your classic kind of vibe. It has so much of your sound in it. And when I think about your career, John, and I think about the traditions that you come from and the musical genres that you have always depended on, there seems to me, when I think about soul, I think about R&B, those are such emotional, or even country, there's such emotional genres. I hear a song like She's Gone, and that is a man deep in his feelings, right? And I wonder, when we're looking at this month and we're thinking about men's health and men's mental health, what has songwriting given to you as a person in the world, as a way to kind of explore those darker, harder feelings?
Well, I think songwriters in general use their songwriting skills and to speak, really to say what they want to say, but perhaps they may not, and I can't speak for everyone, but for me, there's things I can articulate in the process of writing a song that I perhaps just wouldn't say, but somehow I can impart that message or that feeling or that emotion in a song in a more effective way. For me, it's an outlet. It's a compulsion. It's all those things. I just have to do it. So, and I think everyone's different, but I think most songwriters will say something similar to that.
Well, you've been doing this for your pretty much your entire life now, and to see you still creating new material and doing new things and going out on the road and performing, what does it mean to you now? And engaging on TikTok, having what seems to be the time of your life on TikTok, what does it mean to you now to be an artist? How do you think of yourself as an artist now that's different from the person you were maybe in the past?
Well, I think I've achieved a certain maturity and a certain, obviously, life experience, and a not considerable amount of success. The success part is interesting because it has enabled me to do whatever I want, and that's the ultimate freedom that any artist would hope for. That's what I think. If you asked any artist, regardless of whether they're a painter, a songwriter, an actor, whatever, their answer, what would be your ultimate situation? To have complete creative freedom. And thanks to the success of Hall Oates, I have complete creative freedom. And so it gives me I'm completely free to experiment, to collaborate, to try things. And it's a hard earned, I feel like I paid my dues to get it. And so I think it's very precious because I don't want to lose it. And I want to make the most of it. I don't want to just, kind of squander it away by either not trying my best or not working or not really, utilizing the skills that I've gained over the past, I hate to say it, 50, 60 years. So yeah, it's an amazing thing that not many people get to experience. And I have it, and I'm a very lucky, blessed person. So I take full advantage of it.
Sounds like the dream. Absolutely. I want to ask you one more thing because we can't stop talking about the mustache. You've had the mustache. It was iconic for so long. Then you shaved it off. That was a big moment in pop culture. Now it's back. Men use their facial hair as a means of creative expression. Women, we have more to play with maybe sometimes. What does the mustache mean to you now, John?
Well, yes, when I shaved it off in, I think it was '89, um, it was part of that transition that I spoke about earlier. Getting divorced, losing a manager, being at the end of the '80s, the big '80s, looking for what was going to be the next step. It was really, it was more of a symbolic kind of a shedding of the skin or shedding of the hair, as the case may be. And what it was I wanted to be a different person. I felt like the mustache was symbolic of who I was and who I didn't want to be going forward. So that was kind of a ritualistic thing, to shave it off. Now I am a different person. I've evolved in so many ways, and so now to grow the mustache back, now it's just hair on my face, And if it's and I'm having fun with it, really. Having fun with it because and obviously it's part of the Movember vibe, and I'm just kind of, as the song says, rolling with it.
You're just rolling with it. Okay, one more question. If you could change mustaches with any person in the world, is there anyone you look at and you think, wow, John Waters really has it going, or
Oh yeah,
Sam
yeah.
Elliott? Is there anybody you'd change mustaches with?
Oh yeah, sure. David Niven. Except
Classic.
I'm way too short and way not too skinny, and definitely not British, so I could never pull it off. It would look ridiculous on me. But that's a very kind of very finely crafted pencil thin mustache.
Maybe in another lifetime. John Oates, thank you so much for talking to us today. Thank you so much also for being a representative of these issues for men's health and men's mental health. The movement is called Movember. The song is called Pushin A Rock. The man is called John Oates. You are playing all over the world right now and coming back to the States in the new year. It's an absolute pleasure, John. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. Thanks for having me.